This right here is the shed. Today's video starts out with a quick look at the Medieval Farmer 4D settings from WizKids. This is one of the pre-painted sets that they have going on, and I was actually pretty impressed with it. I bought this on sale at Miniature Market for 24 bucks, and frankly, I really needed some farm stuff, and dang it, there was a lot of really good stuff in here, including these cows. You know, you can always get the dollar store cows, but frankly, I just like the look of these cows. Plus, you got some more water buffalo guys here. Oxen, always very useful for a D&D game. I already have 2 of these, but you know what? I actually kind of needed more to help pull some wagons. And, you know, there's all sorts of individual bits that we've never seen before, such as this incredibly hard to get out of the case hay. Dang, that was stuck in there. But yeah, it's like a little hay feeder thing, which is an interesting little bit of stuff. You could easily craft something like this, but I thought that was pretty unique and looks nice on the table for a bit of terrain during a fight, perhaps. And of course, we have the farmer himself. I love the paint job on here. He looks suitably grumpy for a medieval farmer. This is the exact same farmer that you can get in the unpainted version for $5. Once again, the little paint job they have there makes me very happy. I was incredibly impressed with this shed. This immediately caught my interest. The amount of detail on this thing was actually really interesting. It had little bits and bobs, and even though the paint job was simple, the sculpt itself was actually pretty textured and interesting. There was also a little set of fencing here, so you could have a tiny little paddock for your new animals. So yes, for the price I paid, you get a fair amount of farming terrain, and finally I have something that my little miniature fits in perfectly well in. However, back to that shed. It was such a simple but nice looking piece of scenery that I decided to try to duplicate it on my own. I got this texture stamp on deep discount a while back for wood roof, so I figured that would be a nice place to start to try to create something that looked a little bit different than the original. Unfortunately, this would not work out all that great, but we'll talk about that more in the future. I probably should have used a little bit more water on the wood grain itself, and maybe mixed my green stuff a little bit better, but it is what it is. Next up, I started working on the walls. I was kind of using like a mix of techniques here from Black Magic Craft and the Bard's Craft as well. I was trying to make these little holes because I didn't want to make divots. I ended up making divots. I didn't want to make nail heads. So I decided making little holes like this with a drill would look good. I would not recommend. You could barely tell once the craft was done. So the white glue that I used, I think, is just a little bit old, because man, it was taking forever to dry. I got my little bit of cardstock here from a package of planters, and I very non-carefully traced out the roof. Again, guys, measure more carefully than I do. This, of course, is a shack, so it doesn't matter too much more, but once I start making actual buildings again, I'll have to be a little bit more careful with this. And unfortunately, this was not the only woe that happened with the roof. The stamp, unfortunately, I don't think it was really made for this much green stuff. It kind of stuck to the edges really bad, and I redid it twice, but it was a lost cause, so I just decided to make the roof look like thatch rather than the wood tiles it was supposed to look like. And then, of course, there was the central post. How am I supposed to craft this support structure with the hobby stores closed? This task would clearly require all my cunning. And there you go, that will do just fine. So there you have it, our little shack is set up. I used styrofoam for the sides, some wood pieces for additional texture on the sides, and of course some barbecue sticks on the edges for some additional easy texture. All that's left to do is to do the painting. Now, of course, if you've ever watched Black Magic Craft, you know that the easiest way to deal with styrofoam is to use the Mod Podge mixed with paint. So when you paint it, the Mod Podge seals off the foam without losing any of the textures. I used some Vallejo primer for the green stuff roof. I'm not exactly sure how well the Mod Podge would work on green stuff. I didn't want to risk it, and I had the primer, so I primed up the roof in a regular fashion. I was really impressed even with my incredibly amateur skills carving foam core. This actually ended up looking really nicely. I really need to look up some Gerard Boom videos from Shifting Lands. He's an expert at this stuff, and I'm very intrigued to how much detail I can get using techniques like this. Because again, this is like the first time I've ever really tried to do this. And there you go, my little shack looks pretty respectable next to its inspiration. This was just frankly something that just popped in my mind when I saw the little shack in the medieval farmer set, and I'm very glad I took the steps to try to mix and match all these different techniques. I know that this is very amateurish, but I mean, this is really only about the third crafting project that I've really put a lot of effort in, and the mix of materials and stuff really have created something that I really like, and I definitely see potential in a lot of these things that I'm doing, and certainly there's a lot of stuff that I want to practice and get better at when it comes to crafting as well. I hope this video inspires you to take a look at some of the other channels on the Tabletop Crafting Guild website, pick up some tips, go and see what kind of just random materials you have in your house right now, and see what you can make. And even if you don't have the specific thing that you need, maybe just go outside and see if there's just something you can grab randomly that will meet your needs. But as a reminder, always disinfect anything you bring in from the outside first. This has been Caleb from the Blandco channel. Thank you for watching the video. This is not the only crafting thing that I've been building lately. I have been on a tear. So look forward to more crafting videos as we go on into May.